also was the a metal detox and a para detox before the fast, the 3-day fast, whatever. Because you guys heard about the fog in Florida or whatever. People said they got sent. It was really weird, and I experienced it. I was working out all night, changing brakes and oil in my wife's car, and but I noticed this weird fog, and people. There was hundreds of posts the next day, pictures, people all around taking pictures of the fog, and then I saw reports of somebody who took a sample of it and found nano whatever in it. And so you hear, about the chemtrails as well. And we get sprayed all the time right here. Highway 90 is just covered constantly. And so, I mean, I don't know if you guys live in an area where they chemtrail you to death, but it's starting here. It never was that way prior to about 3 or 4 years ago. We never saw them, but now we see them all the time. But when you experience that, and then you notice that every time they do it really heavily, people start getting sick around, and that's when they start talking about a new virus going around. Everybody get your flu shots right after they spray you real good. And so you say, hey, maybe I should detox metals out of my body and parasites while I'm at it. And that's what got me on the fasting kick as well.
Okay, but Scott, if fat is where the body stores toxins.
No, I got you. I'm eating some fat. I'm gonna gain some weight. Gotcha.
Okay, but I'm just saying there's not a benefit to not eating.
I'm trying my best to gain weight.
But
let me give you some advice.
But hold on, Blob. Not because you got to be reasonable, dude. Because you're bringing up things that I'm not in disagreement with. We're not arguing against. Like the fact that you brought up that you need certain minerals to chelate or chelate the heavy toxins. Nobody's arguing that, dude. So I don't know why people always do this. It's like a tactic that people do. They're like rebuttal with something that I wasn't even arguing against. Like I was never arguing against that, and I'm not arguing against eating. Clearly, eating is beneficial. So nobody's arguing against eating or chelation.
I brought up the kids with autism having elevated aluminum in their hair samples. So the body will literally put aluminum into the hair to be removed out of the skin. You can't burn that as energy. You can't use it. Aluminum doesn't even get broken down by fungus.
Hold on. I'm not in disagreement with that. See, again, I'm not in disagreement with that. There are ways that the body, there's many different defenses the body has. You have the lymphatic system, right? That processes certain toxins that can't be processed normally. You got fat soluble, water soluble, chemical toxicity, heavy metal toxicity.
So do you know
I'm not ignorant of all that.
Yeah. But do you know about unutilizable fat?
Can I jump in next?
No.
Okay, that's what cellulite is. Cellulite is like a new thing, and what happens is people eat all these trash foods, and it creates this hardened fat that you can't utilize. So there is fat that you can't just use for energy. This is pretty well known.
So what I was going to rattle on about just with Blob, I mean, the concept is called autophagy. You guys already know what it's all about, so I won't belabor the point. And hopefully it comes out during the course of the dialogue. But I mean, Blob, like as far as digestion is concerned, I kind of think of the body as sort of like, it can breathe in and it can breathe out. It can't breathe in and breathe out at the same time. And there's something very similar going on with digestion and processing of food. So I'm just kind of wondering or thinking here, right? Like, I mean, constantly eating, like from the moment that you get up to the moment that you lay down, even small amounts, it's just going to constantly be putting you in a digestive mode. Like, it's going to lack the breathing out aspect. So this is why I think there's surely a rationale for fasting as a principle, because I mean, if you don't allow your body to kick into that second phase of processing what's coming in, which it can't do both at once, right? Like it just does, it does the processing in the back end, all the enzymatic action and the detoxification comes out in the second back end, right? So if you're constantly eating, you're never going to allow the body to go into that phase.
Well, that's what
You
you
guys
want.
are not disagreeing much on this. The thing is the timing of it. He just mentioned constantly eating, but if you're actually eating the correct food, like raw meat, raw milk, the body actually gonna use to keep constructing the body, rebuilding it, and
The
feeding it
body.
correctly.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, give me a second. If you actually eat these foods, eventually you're not gonna be eating every 1 hour or 2 hours. Your body is gonna be actually fasting and utilizing the nutrients and eventually building this fat and this muscle. And whenever you actually need to use those resources, it's gonna have it as a reserve and use it. So if you're constantly eating bad foods, yeah, that's bad. Everybody knows that, right? But eating the correct foods, like raw foods and raw meats and that kind of stuff, is superior to fasting because just fasting after eating a bad meal is not the correct combination. Eating the correct
Sure.
foods and then taking a time for the body to digest is a better approach.
No, I
Yep.
agree with you, but I'm just sort of
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pushing back against Blob's sort of like Blob basically says that fasting is no good, and I'm just sitting here thinking, well, I mean, there at
It's
least
not.
seems to be, yeah. So what's your definition of fasting? Like, I think breakfast is a psyop, right?
I
But
think
I don't
I
know
think
about
that
5 day
idea is a psyop.
fasting. But could we say like 1 or 2 days fasting might be worthwhile?
Look,
Like, I mean, even from a spiritual point of view, right? Like, I mean, as used in religious context, fasting
that would
and sort
have
of
to be the argument.
restriction of food.
You would have to make a distinction between physical health and health in a more
No,
holistic sense. And you would have
both.
to say that no, you would have to say that
What do
fasting
you mean,
can be
dude?
like a spiritual thing. That would have to be
No,
the
it would
argument.
be
Fuck,
both.
you're a zealot,
No,
dude. You can't say fasting
no,
is
it
not
would
good
be
at
both.
all, bro. You
It's
can
not.
include it in your regimen. Absolutely, dude. It's beneficial. There's
You know
things
No,
what
it's
would
not.
that
happen?
you can't unless you're consuming stem cells. You can't get that through diet, bro. But you can get it through fasting, and all it takes is a 3 day fast. That ain't gonna hurt you, bro. You can go back to your raw milk after 3 days of fasting. You can go back to your raw meat,
You're
dude.
depleting your
You'll
stem
be
cell
fine.
bank.
Hold on.
You're,
You'll be fine. No, you're not depleting your stem cell bank because those they don't get used up unless you go through you have to go through this process. They've showed this. You need a 72-hour fast minimum. They've shown 18 hours, 14 hours might do it, but you need like a 72-hour fast, bro. And then stem cells start getting released into your bloodstream from your bone marrow. That's
yeah, you're
that's a
releasing your
miracle,
stem
dude.
cells.
Yeah, that's a miracle from God, bro. And you're taking it for granted. You're
No,
saying that fasting
you're
is
leaching
useless.
your nutrients. You're leaching your own body's bank of
No, they're
nutrients.
there for that purpose. That's a claim, bro. That's your
But
philosophical
it's like
bias.
a survival mode. It's
You're saying that the stem cells are gonna get used up. That's what they're there for, bro. That's their
So you
purpose to
can't
get.
just eat bone marrow and get stem cells?
No, it doesn't work like
Well,
that.
it does. You
No,
just
no,
eat
you
stem
cannot just
cells.
eat bone marrow and get stem cells. No, you can't. It doesn't work
Yeah,
like
you
that.
can.
Nope.
You can eat stem
think,
cells.
think think about it. It's so if you're feeding your body correctly and giving what it needs to build and to be ready for an emergency situation, then you're gonna fast because you're not gonna be eating. But you need the reserves to be able to fast correctly. If you're just eating constantly, you're not gonna be regularly fasting because you're eating the correct foods, the body is building, you're strong, you have energy, and then there's war and there's not enough food. You're gonna have the reserves to kind of like probably survive, but it's a survive situation almost.
Yeah,
Dude,
you're
I had a
putting.
guy. Dude, I had a guy, Egyptian fellow, a friend of mine. His spleen ruptured, bro. He never went to the ER, dude. He just sat there and loathed. He just sat there and loathed, dude. And he's like, I'm gonna die here. Dude, he just sat there with a ruptured spleen for 3 days, bro. Didn't
Damn.
eat nothing, and he survived it, bro. His body just kicked back. He somehow
How many how
survived
many
it, bro. I don't even,
how
it's
many stem
unbelievable. It
cells
was
did
a
he lose?
miracle, bro. It's a miracle. The only reason
How
he
many stem cells
survived
did he
that,
lose,
bro,
bro?
and I told him this. I'm like, did you eat anything during those 3 days? He's like, no. And I'm like, that's why you survived. That's why he survived. Because if you would have eaten a Twinkie, anything during that 3-day period that his
Oh, the
spleen
spleen
had
is
ruptured,
killing
he
you.
would
Yeah.
have died.
Well, you
That's
don't
an
know that.
interesting argument too. No, that's an interesting argument.
He could have eaten some raw eggs, would have been fine. Well,
Nah, he
Yeah.
would have died, dude. He would have died.
how do you know that?
Because the stem cells wouldn't have. The only reason he survived is the stem cells that got released.
How do you know that?
Because those are God's miracle workers. They're able to do miraculous things that you can't do through diet, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
but nobody
Mm.
fasts and regrows like tendons, like when they get stem cell therapy. It doesn't do the same thing. Nobody does that.
you might accomplish it through diet, but it would definitely take a lot longer to reconstitute that part of the body through diet. Where stem cells can just like turn into anything, and they can turn into cartilage. They can repair the retina, the eye. They can repair the heart muscles, the lungs, the knee, the kneecaps, the shoulder. The stem cells can literally. That's why people go to Mexico. They got stem cell therapy, dude. They spend thousands of dollars when all you got to do is fast for 3 days.
Yeah, but you know that the body stores toxins in the bone marrow, right? Where the stem cells are at. So when you fast, how do you know that it's not just releasing toxins to move them around?
Well, you got to get the toxins out anyway, man. That's the whole thing. Like, you got to move them to get them out. So this is why I'm thinking, like, that fat, like if you gain a little bit of fat, right, and then that releases toxins, because the toxins bound up in the fat, you need to move it. You can't just let it sit there and expect it to slowly sort of work its way out. I'm assuming not anyway.
You don't want it to move to a more vital area of the body.
No, but you want to do it when you're actually, you don't want it to move unless it's trying to move its way out. But at the end of the day, like, this is why I think that like a detox effectively causes, disease or illness-like symptoms, is because the toxin was bound up in a sort of, what do they call that? Sort of an inert membrane, I think is the term I've used before, in order to encapsulate the toxin. And then at some point, it knows that it has to get it out. So, but in order to get it from the tumor into the outside world, out of the body, it needs to bypass, like, through the blood, sweat, mucosal excretion, all these sorts of things, or push it out through the skin even. But it's, it still needs to, how would you say, like, work its way out. So it has to use the natural biological systems, which then causes the consequence of feeling the symptoms of the detox.
That's why you want to, when you build excess body fat, it'll leach toxins from the vital areas of the body and put it in that excess body fat. Then you can sweat it out.
This kit gives you this stuff called Cinnabin. Well, what's in it, supplement, is when you're taking it as a joiner that will help get out the metals and stuff. Coconut, activated charcoal, Ceylon cinnamon, 300 milligrams, whatever. You take that at the end of your fast, or after you've been taking not your fast, but after you've been taking your metal and para detox drops for a while. You start taking this, and it joins the detoxins and gets it out. There's a whole system to it, that.
How do you know that?
Rogers Apothecary. There's a lot of literature. I've read on it for days before I even attempted to buy it. Reviews, all that. I'm sure everybody here does their due diligence, but it's called Rogers Apothecary. If you want to check it out, there's a whole system, and it explains each step of the process and what you're supposed to do to prepare for it when you start it and all that. And I just chose to do a 3-day fast after doing that, just to make sure. And I had never done one before, and whenever the stool samples start, I actually did do this other stuff one time that was a detox, and I did have stuff come out, but it wasn't like a fast, or it wasn't doing the Cinnabin, the activated charcoal, coconut activated charcoal, to get the stuff out of your system right. So yeah, you hear about people doing these detoxes and getting sick and even worse. So yeah, if you don't do it right. So they do warn against everything that you're talking about. If you don't do it right, you can have bad side effects along the way, but you could still get rid of it. Here's the one thing that Leon was talking about that just, you guys got to understand that I grew up at churches and seeing altar calls of all these fat people going down to the altar praying for healing, and here we are in a spiritual church and nobody's going to fast when it calls for fasting and prayer. And nobody knows in the church that fasting was really to heal you, not just for spiritual healing.
Yeah, but it's not though.
Well, that's what you think,
No,
and
it
I
is, dude.
understand that, and I appreciate that. I appreciate and I respect your opinion on that. But I've seen all these people at church be sick and die, and everybody goes to their funerals year after year after year, dropping out of church, sick. Well, they eat all the stuff, that you say,
Yeah, but
unhealthy
do
stuff.
you know people drop dead from fasting? Did you know that?
What? No, I've never heard of anybody dropping dead from fasting.
I wonder why.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wonder why. People haven't heard about it.
What's
I've
that
heard of
organ?
people dying dead of
Hold on real quick.
vaccines.
What's that organ that's in your chest, near your sternum? It's
Your
all
heart?
connected
The
to your
heart.
your lymphatic
How
system.
about
Your thymus gland?
Diaphragm.
Yes, your thymus gland. Dude. Go look into that, Blob.
What about it?
Go look into how stem cells work, bro. Stem cells are generated. There might be a limited amount of certain type of them, but they seem to be just abiotic. Like, there's not a limited amount. They continuously.
Those are. Yeah, that you're saying. So the thymus makes like white blood cell production, which is from stem cells.
Yeah, dude, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the,
I
and the
mean,
stem
you don't
cells.
wanna
There's
lose
also
those. You don't
specific
wanna
stem
lose your
cells
stem
that are.
cells.
There's also specific stem cells that are produced in the lungs, and in the bone marrow and elsewhere. Your body has various places where it produces stem cells, dude. And stem cells are miraculous.
Well,
Absolutely
there's no arguments for fasting. I just want to throw that out there.
The stem cells, can the body be producing stem cells on a normal, like, correct diet? Like you're drinking the good milk, the good eggs, the good meats, the fish and the fruit, some of the fruits. The body could be producing stem cells still, right?
You can eat them.
That's what I'm saying. That's actually what I'm saying. Yeah, there's multiple places in the body where stem cells are produced on a regular basis, including the lungs and the thymus gland and the bone marrow.
But it's not only during fasting. So it's not a fasting
No, it's not.
argument,
It's
is it?
not only during. That's what I'm trying to say right now. But during
Okay.
fasting specifically, after a 72-hour fast, your body releases stem cells specifically from the bone marrow.
Yeah, if you have any nerve damage, you can fast and it'll, like, if you have nerve damage in your spine or like you broke an arm or something, like any kind of nerve damage, it will address that nerve damage. No bullshit. Also, what's really good with fasting, and I would recommend not promoting that, like saying that you can't fast or it's not good for you. Whatever. I can't get behind that, but like if you fast, your fucking testosterone is gonna be higher than like people who are taking shots. Like that is a huge benefit. There's people who have fasted and their test comes back like eight times greater than it was previously, just within like the first day. So, that's pretty miraculous, don't you think?
So we all agree the correct combination will be eating the correct foods and then going a period of time without eating and then eating again correctly.
Yeah, of course.
What's the benefit of not eating? If you're eating only raw meat,
stem cells, stem cell production, nerve repair, and then anything that would help you if you have low T or testosterone issues, I guess.
Well, you have a limited so you have a limited amount of stem cells. So when you release them, you're just releasing your bank. And then stopping symptoms with fasting, that's not actually, like, you can just eat raw meat and a raw food diet. You'll address the same symptoms and you won't be leaching your own nutrition, concentrating toxins in the body. There's negatives to fasting.
Those are two different things.
There's no negatives to eating a raw food diet regularly, like eating regularly. There's no negatives. None. There's negatives to fasting.
Well, that's not really what we're talking about.
Yeah, I still think eating once a day, like no more, like ideally once a day, twice a day, no more. Like if you're eating like as soon as you wake up, even like a little cup of coffee, you set your body into a digestive mode. I'm not sure about that, man.
That's what your body is built to do. Your body is
Yeah,
built to digest and process
you
food.
know you're supposed to eat certain things at a certain time so your body digests it in a certain order that's better for it, and then drink after it, not during your meal too. There's so many things, and you're absolutely right about eating good foods. We try to do that, but I want to address another issue. We as truthers, we kind of like pitch a big umbrella over everybody else, even the globers, that because we understand that we may have been globers once ourselves. So we try to pitch a big umbrella and think about everybody else underneath that may not know this and this information, and we try to think about how they're affected by this, and they're not able to eat good, right? It's very expensive to eat good nowadays, and there's got to be better ways for us to teach our community how to eat good. And I've seen people make 55-gallon drums full of potatoes in their backyard. You don't need a lot of space to grow your own food. Now, I'm not doing that, and I desperately want to do it. It's one of my hobbies I want to take on. But
Potatoes.
yeah, potatoes,
Fake food.
I
strawberries.
like potatoes.
I love potatoes.
And have you guys heard of electroculture, where you run copper in the ground, and so it's kind of feeding off the ether, and this one guy shows he has a box garden on one side, no copper running through it, and he has it going up so high, running to the roots, right? And so all through the thing on the left side, he's got a garden with copper running through it, and it's like 5 times bigger than the one on the right, because of the electroculture is what it's called. Very interesting, and it absolutely works. I did it with several of my plants, and they just busted out big time. Not a legitimate experiment or anything, but it definitely seemed like they grew faster, for sure. But good food is hard to come by, and all the poor people out there, they wouldn't. I mean, I can afford to go to a farm, even though there's a farm too far away. We usually end up going somewhere around here, Publix or Aldi or Costco, and you spend so much money. You look at your budget at the end of the month, and you're like, holy crap, trying to eat healthy is killing us. And
Do you ever
when
wonder?
we haven't budgeted for this, it's hard.
Do you ever wonder
What's
if
up?
you rolling, Riggs?
I don't know when to do it, but I'm gonna die if he doesn't fix his mic. So I was gonna say hi.
Do it.
I'm actually gonna explode.
I do like potatoes, but every time I eat potatoes, I feel like I'm gonna die or something. I don't know why.
Scott,
Yeah,
nice
so
to
that-
meet you, bro. Welcome to the group. You got to fix your mic,
Yeah.
or I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah, Riggs has got like a auditory sort of thing. He gets a little bit.
Hey, just to
I'm a little
wrap up
testy.
the fasting thing real quick, let me just say that with all the vaccines, the
I'm
pollution.
so sorry about that, y'all. I'm so sorry. It's my headset. I apologize. I didn't know.
That
Okay.
ain't bad, bro.
Yeah, but basically everybody in modern society is malnourished, and they have been their entire lives. They're heavily poisoned, vaccines, all this pollution, and to suggest that people should stop eating when it's already known that it's unhealthy for children, infants, teenagers, and these are people that have been malnourished their whole lives, filled with poison. To suggest that they should stop eating is extremely dangerous. It's bad advice. There's no benefit to it. So I'll just leave it at that.
I think you should put a time. You should put a time limit on it. What are you recommending as a time limit?
5 hours.
You reckon 5 hours?
5 hours sounds like a reasonable time to eat between meals, maybe. Maybe 6, who knows?
Hey, Block. How often,
I think-
like for the spiritual aspect, how often should you fast to garner the spiritual introspection?
Every 6 hours.
Maybe like once a week.
Well, you're being attacked. Your spirit's
Every
being
night?
attacked by poisons. So I think you would have to be in perfect health if you want to fast for spiritual reasons. Otherwise, you're just going to be your bacteria is going to get attacked. Like you're going to get destroyed by the poison. So you want to be in perfect health if you're going to fast, and then if you do that, maybe a couple days.
How do you know if you're in perfect health or not?
Iridology. The iris.
Iridology. Oh, damn. Yeah, I'm almost blind, so I'm fucked.
No.
It's
about,
not
like-
about what you can see, Riggs. It's what we can see in your eyes that you see through.
Yeah.
Well, I had LASIK done. They took a lot of it out. So,
Yeah, it might be hard to
You're perfect.
identify.
Perfectly healthy.
I'm dying.
It's all those potatoes.
It's all those potatoes, man. Sweet potatoes, regular potatoes.
Yeah, going back to potatoes, like, you ever wonder if the potato famine was actually caused by potatoes? Not a lack of potatoes.
Dun dun dun.
There was no potato famine.
A lack of meat. A lack of meat.
No, bunch of bullshit.
There were no planes. There weren't even potatoes. There's no planes, no potatoes. Okay.
Wait, so
there was
one
no
particular
famine.
thing happened, and all of a sudden all the Irish people are like, oh, fuck this, I'm going to go to America. No, that didn't happen. Bunch of bullshit. Bunch of nonsense.
Well, I know with the Irish settlers here in Brisbane, when I did a little history review back in college for a little project, but I read through, and apparently they were convincing Irish men and women to come to Australia, and they would be given farms in Fortitude Valley, and they got here and they were just thrown into they what would you call, like, backpackers basically, and they were expected to work. So they were getting tricked. They were told stories at their homeland to go, you'll be given a farm, and when they get here, it's not what they were promised.
Yeah,
So
Irish were
basically,
some of the original slaves too. Irish people. I'm Irish by heritage. I got a fucking Irish tattoo on me. My last name Baker. Yeah, I'm fucking Irish. You can prove it. Anyways, I looked into the whole potato famine situation, and that entire piece of history. Oh, the potato famine. Oh, there was one famine for one thing. No, it's fucking stupid. Why people even believe that is just weird.
Yeah, so what's the main line story? It's like the potato brought so much prosperity, they had so many kids, and so they were all eating the potato, it's abundance of potato, and then all of a sudden hit by plague, and so all that sort of prosperity, like, now you got a rescue of people compared to the supply. So that's the story, right?
Yeah,
but
there's more to it, though.
Not eating enough meat, maybe protein and fat.
No, because the Irish couldn't grow potatoes anymore. Then all of a sudden they all had to move to the United States. No, that's not the fucking thing. Well,
Did they have meat? Did they have an abundance of meat and fats, animal fats?
well, they didn't have a lot of cows. They had a lot of lamb over there. But either way,
It is something that the British monarchy would come up with as an excuse, like, we're going to raid and pillage this land, we're just going to tell them it was a plague,
That's what
ship them off to other,
yeah, it was the invasion of England to Ireland. It's right across the pond. It's right there. And they came over there and they did the whole thing that Henry the Red did all the way across Europe. It's the rape, pillage, and plunder kind of situation. Oh, it's the potato famine. No, it's not potato famine. Because that means everything else that was growing in the ground would probably have the same problem, which means nothing would grow. And potatoes are one of the easiest things to grow. I've grown potatoes.
I'm pretty sure the famine.
50 potatoes of it.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the famine was because all they had was potatoes.
No,
so it's called the potato famine.
No.
Yeah, because humans can't live on potatoes. If you start eating just potatoes, you'll be dead real quick.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
so what like the British monarchy went over and told all the farmers, now you must all do potatoes. Like, they had to cull all the crops and go for potatoes. And then it started causing this famine due to nutrients deficiency.
If I only have potatoes to eat, I'll be dead like in a day or two.
No, you won't be dead. It's just you're going to be a little.
Oh yeah, I'll be dead.
malnourished.
No, I'll be dead. Like, actually dead.
I'm sorry to say that. Then, oops.
Yeah, I can't metabolize carbohydrates, and that's what potatoes are.
Yeah, malnourishment and death go hand in hand.
I get that. Yes.
Wait, what about potatoes and carbs?
He's got the D1. Is it D1? Diabetes.
Yeah.
All grains, potatoes, most beans, they're called complex carbohydrates, and then like starches and long chain triglycerides, which is what is in the potatoes. And none of those are easily digestible by the body. Usually they have to be fermented first.
That's weird because I can't go more than a week without eating potatoes.
Because you're addicted.
No, I'm not addicted. It's a fucking versatile type of...
You are addicted. Because the way it's processed, because you definitely would not eat those potatoes raw.
I do.
Don't tell me you do, and you're like, no.
Yes,
no,
I do.
You don't. Oh, man.
I'll fucking get one right now
Whoa.
on camera and show you.
Please
He's
don't.
so Irish, he eats that raw potato.
Yeah.
The reason why you want to grow your own potatoes is because of the glyphosate, and you can't trust anything that you get in a bag and put in the deep fryer or anything because it's full of who knows what glyphosate. A lot of it.
Look, literally, potatoes are pig food. Okay, humans have no ability to detect potatoes. However, pigs do.
That's not true. I mean,
That's
detect potatoes,
such a
yeah.
weird statement. I've never heard anyone say that.
It's not really. When have you ever seen humans digging around in the dirt for food? Just
Every
think
single
about that.
time you do gardening.
I mean, we don't really see
Carrots, beets,
we don't really see humans do anything
potatoes.
for
I mean,
Have you walked out in the LA
like
streets
pigs.
recently? There's people digging around everywhere, man.
we don't really see
Well-
humans do anything for food nowadays, except for like maybe go to a restaurant or cook in their kitchen or order something. Or yeah, maybe growing things in a garden.
Yeah, so let's imagine you go to a field and you have no idea what's there. How are you going to find the potatoes? Are you just going to start digging?
Nah,
No, come
grow
on.
them above
Okay, first of
the
all,
ground.
you have to actually garden, and potatoes. If you take a little bit of the potato, the spud part, you put it in the ground, all of a sudden, and you put a little bit of water on it. In a, in a few days, you'll start to see these little tiny things called leaves starting to sprout from it,
Yeah.
and then
How did
you
Matt
know that's where the
Damon?
potato is growing. Leave it there until it blossoms into a larger plant, and then you pull it out, and then voila, you got a potato.
Yeah. How did Matt Damon survive on Mars for all that time without
Yeah,
potatoes? Huh?
that. I was
Come on.
thinking of that too, but that's a bunch of bullshit. That movie is so fucking stupid.
No, man, that's real.
I like the book.
Oh yeah, he took astronaut shit and made a fucking potato garden. Like,
Doesn't
come on.
potatoes like absorb a lot of toxins into them?
I don't know, maybe.
Well, don't all the potatoes all have the same black mold?
And worms. If you don't pesticide them, they get a lot of worms too.
All right,
See,
listen.
let's
If you guys
think
don't
about
like
that, right? So
potatoes,
the
don't fucking eat them.
potatoes. So
Yeah,
I
but
don't eat
I thought-
potatoes. They're bad for you.
I mean, but if worms and parasites are good for you, then what would be the harm in eating a potato in that situation?
That might be a good thing. You get protein if you eat the potato with the worms and fat.
Or like a worm in your apple?
Actually, that would be terrible. Actually, because to me it seems like the potato, since we don't do anything with it, it's just like disgusting fiber. It's actually going to like disrupt your digestive system. So actually, those worms will probably get into your body.
Yeah, they say the
Just
same thing about sushi, like sashimi or whatever it's called, yeah, like the raw sushi, where a lot of people like to eat the.
You like shitting worms?
No, what?
Oh, so- that's what happens. You start shitting worms. You start eating sushi, gas station sushi.
Oh no! Come on, Lion. No, I don't eat gas station anything.
You know that song by System of a Down?
No,
Tapeworm in my ass.
nope. I'm not a
okay.
real big fan of System of a Down.
Let's examine. Can you just eat potatoes, just potatoes, and be fine?
But yo, don't get it twisted, bro. Like legumes, beans, vegetables, potatoes, they're not. People are like trying to act out like all these things are horrible for you. Tomatoes, nightshade, because they're from the nightshade family, or corn and carrots are now off limits. Beans are off limits. People are crazy. They become zealots, dude.
You know, the nightshades. Let's think about this. So tobacco is a nightshade and it has nicotine in it. So it would make sense that all the other nightshades probably also have some form of nicotine in them.
That's way counterintuitive. No,
Not
What?
really.
Hey,
It makes
Lion.
sense.
no, it's a formological fallacy.
What?
If this, okay, you can't just say because one thing contains something, then the other ones also must.
But
I mean that
nightshades
what?
are high
So
in
so
nicotine.
how else are they classified to be in the same family then if it isn't for their contained ingredients? Because it
Well,
isn't by
some
the way
foods
they look
contain
necessarily.
some foods contain cyanide, and they're in the same category.
Well,
Doesn't work.
okay. It
Yeah, it
says
doesn't work.
here, yes, nightshades contain nicotine.
Yep. Yes.
There you
They do.
go.
All of them do.
Tomatoes. Yep.
Uh-uh.
So they're addictive. So
And
is
it
it
says,
you that like the potatoes, or is it the worms in you?
I want to feed my worms. So I'll eat a potato.
Well, you should
Okay.
be eating potato then, Blob.
I'll get one right
Look at
now.
that worms maxing.
Well,
Yeah.
if you guys want to go into the nicotine conversation, I'd be happy to do so. I was a cigarette smoker for 20 years, and I have finally, about 2.5 years ago, quit smoking, like cold turkey. But what I found out is that nicotine is actually not addictive. It's the chemicals they put into it, which are addictive. And I've heard that conversation from a gentleman named David Wolf, David Avocado Wolf, and he grows his own nicotine. He chops it up, cures it, chops it up, whatever he does, and then from there rolls it up into what looks like a modern day cigarette. And he's like, yeah, it's not addictive. He smokes very, very little of it.
Yeah,
So-
Listen to that guy.
Nobody, you should not listen to that guy. He's a liar. But I
David
spoke not just
Wolf.
that, but the nicotine,
okay.
the tobacco plant should be cured for like 7 years according to the process to get tobacco for smoking. I do know that the Native Americans did use tobacco in a raw form, but like otherwise, I don't know. I kind of call. I'm not saying he's a liar, but I call crap on that nicotine's not addictive because I get whole leaf tobacco, like organic.
The best kind of tobacco I can get straight from, and it's sold as an agricultural product. They don't treat it like a cigarette product. You know, it's a leaf. You just buy it by the pound. But I don't know.
It's
I think
kinda-
nicotine's pretty darn addictive. Just saying.
It's kind of well known that many nightshades in the family, you have to kind of water them down because of the toxin content, like potatoes, beans, many of these things. People used to water them like multiple times before consuming them. There might be a reason for that, no?
Okay, so how's this relate with potatoes, though? Potatoes and nicotine and nightshades. There has to be some
we
sort
need
of
to tie it all
Still
together.
lessening the amount in the potato, or whatever nightshade you're growing. You know, you water it a whole bunch so the plant absorbs a whole bunch of juice, and then you're getting actually a larger alkaloid production and whatever other minerals and nutrients might be in the plant that are good for you. You know, I can see the extra watering right before harvest being a really good thing, actually, from gardener's point of view.
I mean, like after the harvest, the beans, instead of eating them raw, they will have to put them in water for a whole day, then throw out that water, then put more water, throw it out, and do it again.
Yeah, certain beans contain certain types of chemicals in them which can be poisonous.
That can kill you, actually kill you.
Yes, they can.
That's the lectins.
Plant
Yeah,
defense
well,
chemicals.
different types of beans. You have to eat them raw, that is. And then all of a sudden you boil them. Oh, they're good to go, right?
Yeah, normally
gotta
there's like a
say-
defense system when something valuable is being protected, but with vegetables, there's not really much there.
I gotta say, you cannot really ferment beans. Maybe if you add in like a already digested lacto ferment, like as a starter. But like I've tried fermenting beans raw, and they never end up getting soft. You can leave them in the water for months, and I mean, you can eat them. They kind of soften up, but like I don't know. They're kind of I don't know. If I can't really ferment a vegetable, I don't really want to eat it.
What are your favorite fermented vegetables?
I like sauerkraut a lot because I want to make it myself, but you can add in like peppers, carrots. You can add in any vegetable. And like my favorite, I think though, would be a finely chopped root and then like a pepper. And you can add in spices too. You can make it really spicy and it's like a spicy, sour, salty, like, I think ferments are great. I think that fermenting food is a very good thing. And I don't know. I'm amiss about the salt right now. I need to do more research because I've heard things and I thought I knew.
Yeah, you're
things,
coming
and so
over. You're coming over to my side.
I've agreed with you on a lot of points. You come off really aggressive sometimes, and that's off-putting. But I
I'm
agree
also
with you on
scared
a lot of it, bro.
I'm
Yeah,
also
pudding
scared
is
you're
bad for
stopping, to
you.
be honest.
Pudding is bad, yes. Off-putting, no good.
Wait,
Like, I
wait,
feel like
hold
I,
on, hold on,
I
hold
agree
on.
with you on a lot.
Hold on. Is someone saying that his words are okay? It's just the way he says them I don't like. Come on, are we women?
Yeah, I think
That's not what I
Well,
said.
no, I
we need Yasuo to
legitimately
confirm you.
disagree with some of the things, but it took me a while to come around and actually watch the information that he is talking about, and I don't know. You guys should watch the video, the Augenus video. It's a really good one. I can share the link if you want.
Augenus can be
Hey,
right about some things and still be wrong about like fasting and fermented vegetables. Like, I don't want to take his
Well, he
entire
says
word.
to ferment vegetables. What do you mean? It's just the salt. He says salt's really not good for you.
Yeah, and maybe
we'll
don't say
call it
he's right
fast.
and wrong about things when you don't even know what he says. How about that?
All right, you can chill a little bit, but you
There
get
is
my
something to be
point.
said about being charming, though, right? Like, it's nothing to do with being feminine. It's just there is a charming manner in which you can present an idea.
No, I think if somebody's
I
wrong and
will
you tell them
say,
they're wrong, It's kind of hard to be charming.
In this video, he said in like 2 months I'm turning 60, and he looked like he was either early 50s or maybe like late 40s. Like he looked a decade younger than yeah, just from, and I'm just saying like, man, like that's crazy. Like to be that old and look that good, like he must be doing something right, health wise.
Must be.
Yeah, so I've got a buddy who has his graduate degree, a master's degree in nutrition, and for the longest time he was a meat eater and all that kind of stuff. And then for some reason he decided he was going to just go vegetarian for a while. But then he found out that I guess vitamin B12, I think is what it was, which is like found in eggs, like chicken eggs. That's what he needed. And a lot of vegans actually need to have that in order to supplement their diet. So he still eats boiled eggs every single day, like 3 or 4 of them. But aside from that, all he eats is like vegetables and fruits and stuff. And he's about 55 or 56 right now, and he looks like he's about 30. So, and yeah, granted, he does also exercise and all that kind of stuff, but doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, anything like that. But yeah, when people are doing something right, then you have to figure out what is it that's happening.
Well, we know that Augenus is right. He has a PhD in nutrition, but that's completely irrelevant. He already had like hundreds of experiments with individuals before he got a PhD, and he went on to have thousands of experiments that he oversaw personally with people. And we're talking about basically 100% success rate with cancer, any disease. And he didn't get anything wrong. And he's the only guy in history to do that. So
Augenus?
The guy I sent you, yeah.
Oh, you DM me?
Yep. He literally had thousands of experiments with people.
I just have to quickly rebuttal the B12 claim because I'm a vegan, and it's just, I don't know, I've talked to so many people where, like older people too, they never supplement. This whole B12 thing is like, I know, like it's like a big deal, it's like, how do I say it? I don't want to say like propaganda, but it's like vegan and B12, like this scary situation or something. Like it's not even.
I mean, the thing about B12, I actually did a whole like write-up thing on this that I a long time ago, but hold on, give me a sec.
Well, yeah, the thing about B12 is when I actually decided, I went vegan for a while, only for experimental and health reasons, and it's very, very difficult to do that.
The problem is that
I fucking love the taste of like a chili cheeseburger or something, right? Or whatever else.
Yeah,
But
now it's your like taste bud. It's not like you really need it. It's like you miss the taste.
right, it's just because I was not raised vegan. But then, anyways,
was I.
long story short, I did that, and then I started feeling a lack of energy. So I talked to my buddy Darren, who again has a master's in from San Jose State University in nutrition and nutrition and health or whatever the fuck it is. And he said, yeah, when he went vegan, he hated it. So he went vegetarian, meaning he would still consume dairy and eggs. And then he stopped using. And so it was just the eggs because, like, the vitamin B12, I believe that's what he was saying. I don't recall if that's the exact.
The thing is that explanation might not necessarily be the truth. The problem is when you try to isolate a single molecule and say that this is the nutrient that I need, when it's not the case. It's more the whole food. You need the whole entire food, and you need some just animal foods. To say like, oh, it's B12 is kind of a. They don't know that.
Well, he said that as soon as he started eating eggs again, all of a sudden his energy level started coming back, but he was still eating the same diet aside from no dairy
do you think
anymore.
that could have been more of an amino acid thing?
I don't know.
Anecdotal.
I'm not a nutritionist. I couldn't tell you.
Well, here's the thing, right? So with vitamin B12, so they tell you, okay, cobalamin, the byproduct from anaerobic microorganisms in the soil that is actually also found in your intestinal microflora. So you actually synthesize your own B12. The only thing is that they claim that you can't absorb it, and so it just gets eliminated into your feces. And then they try to come up with all of these ways to claim that, oh, well, you're just actually vitamin B12 deficient, and that the only way you can get vitamin B12 is by food. But it's just like, well, some of the way that B12 is supposed to end up in the soil is that you're basically, I kind of get the logic of like you're supposed to like shit in the soil. It helps like nurture the ground, and then it gives the food that stuff so it could grow back and eat it out, and then you can eat it again. But like when it actually comes down to like all the different like factors involved of like what microorganisms synthesize B12, they haven't even fully like figured out the picture of how it's made in our body and what different organisms might be capable of making it. So they're basically just talking out of their ass.
Yeah,
Yep.
because a
Like
lot of
it's
studies use
incomplete.
words. Yeah,
Sorry,
the
go ahead.
studies use words like may and suggest, and it may do this. We suggest it, But if you're all about scientific demonstration, like there are vegan athletes, like there is millions of vegans. So this whole like
They're also on
vegans don't-
steroids.
Okay, it's like all the vegans
So
are on
you're going to point to
steroids.
people on
All,
performance enhancing drugs? That's your
yeah,
evidence?
all the vegans are on performance and like every single one of them.
Yeah,
Like,
all the
it's
top
just-
athletes are.
that's
Yep.
just preposterous. Like,
Okay.
well, that's just like your opinion at this stage. But so yeah, it's like scientific demonstration. Millions of vegans, vegan athletes. It's just I don't know why people like don't
Well, they
see
lie
that.
about it. Like David Avocado Wolf, who said he was vegan for like 17 years or something like that. Meanwhile, was drinking raw milk, having raw animal products, and lied about it.
Can't just point to one person.
No. There's many people or many vegans that lie.
All of them, or just a few.
Look, the issue with the veganism thing is you're alkalizing the digestive tract. So you have hydrochloric acid that secretes that's supposed to break foods down, and alkalinity neutralizes that and counterbalances that, and that's not what you want. You actually have an acidic system that's made to break down meat. So the whole veganism philosophy, which it's not even you have no arguments. So there's also something called the secret life of plants, which demonstrates with experiments, many experiments shows how plants are actually hyper intelligent, very sensitive and emotional. With experiments you wouldn't even imagine.
Wait, I
Yeah,
have a question to ask about that because you were saying that that wait, what alkalizes the intestines? Because
the plant material is alkaline.
because technically your what do you call it? What the hell is that thing called again? The thing that like secretes the thing that helps neutralize the stomach acid. Like technically, doesn't that already like alkalize?
You're talking
I mean,
about like sodium, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I can't remember the fucking name of it. I just gotta look it up really quick.
Yeah, I mean that's fine, but the problem is like you have that acidic system for a reason. It's to break down these foods, which
But then
doesn't
how are
help.
the vegans not dead then? Like the scientific
They will
demonstration
be.
is trumps.
Yeah, they will be dead.
They will. So will
Yeah,
be.
do you think do you think I'm joking?
What scientific demonstration?
Your argument is just that the vegans are alive. That's a demonstration.
Yeah, you can do a bunch of terrible things to your body and still be alive.
Scientific
Okay,
demonstration?
so my girlfriend, sort of girlfriend, I've known her since I was like 14. We're like on and off dating kind of thing for a long time. We're like kind of like fuck buddies. Anyways, she's vegan. She can't even be around anything that has meat in it. Like she's hardcore vegan, and she's also a marathon runner. What's wrong with her?
No, they're all on steroids, bro. Don't you know?
She's just not healthy.
Yeah, she is. I fucked her multiple times.
So being a
Yeah, she's
marathon
healthy.
runner.
I trust. Promise me.
Okay, so being a marathon runner equates to being healthy. Is that the
She
correlation?
is fit. She doesn't look her age, and she is. I don't agree with her diet, but
You're
either
saying she's,
way,
for the most part, appearing in good health.
yeah, very much so.
Is she unvaccinated
Yes.
fully?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean,
How long
It's not hard to tell.
she's been a vegan? How long? For how long?
I think since she was about 15, and she's about 42, 43 right now.
Yeah, she's lying.
Okay,
that's,
I've known her since. What the fuck?
So she eats no
Wow,
animal,
that's a
no
broad
animal
statement,
foods.
man. Come on.
She eats no animal foods.
What
Ever?
about
Yeah,
bacteria
nothing.
in? What about the bacteria in the green foods? Are bacteria vegan?
That's just
Okay,
getting.
if you
That's
want to go like
playing still
hardcore vegan, vegans can't even consume honey, right?
pretty
Because
much, yeah.
you
That's
know
like hardcore vegan.
Andrew, do you know for a fact that she's not lying to you?
I have no reason to distrust her.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
just bringing up the bacteria because cows, when they eat the grass, they're also eating bacteria, and in their first stomach, the bacteria is growing in that stomach, and then in the second stomach, they digest a bunch of that bacteria. It's a lot of protein from the bacteria.
Yeah, even cows don't fully digest the plant material. They just digest
Okay,
way
well,
more of it.
if you guys want to get like super hardcore about it, then fine. You know, if you want to mince
No,
words,
hardcore. I'm just saying that the cows eat grass, and the bacteria is eating the grass, and then a cow is eating the bacteria.
we all have to eat something, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Well, you
we
eat
have
the byproduct of the bacteria, so you eat like basically the poop of the bacteria.
okay. Well, let's just put it this way: she's a member of PETA.
PETA
Right?
bread?
Well, that's not good.
The bottom line is.
So she's crazy.
No,
Yeah,
she's
she's
not
insane.
crazy.
I mean, PETA is like a bit of a
She's
wacko
also anti
organization.
like putting zoos. She hates zoos. You shouldn't be caging animals for display on for humans. And she's a very well-educated woman, and
Oh
I
man,
love
the
her a lot.
worst.
It seems
All right,
like
well,
you still
whatever.
have
I'm just saying the fucking point.
It seems like you still have an emotional attachment to her.
Yeah, I've known her since I was 14. I'm 42 now.
That's not bad. Hey, but Andrew, the thing I brought up about David Avocado Wolf.
Yeah.
So there's something called the 7-year wall in with vegans where they start to fall apart after 7 years and they have to go back to animal foods. And that's something that David Avocado Wolf did, and he was warned about it by Ogenus, the guy that I sent you.
Not true.
What?
I've talked to people like 20, 30, 40 years vegan. So
Yeah, they're liars.
Anecdotal.
I still haven't received that.
Okay, so I'm giving you an example of someone who lied about it. So he got to the 7-year wall, started eating raw animal foods, and then said he didn't. And this is what they all do.
Yeah, every single one. Just
Yeah, but do you think
they're
that?
all telling the truth.
But couldn't
None
you
of
make
them
the
lie.
argument though that David Wolf was probably just a plant to like come in and promote veganism and then just turn around and act like it failed? Because like I feel like there's a few people that do that, especially like in the keto movement. I've noticed it's like
Maybe.
a trend.
He could be a plant. He eats them.
But the bottom line is, we don't need meat to live. Like the whole the factory farming, that's what it comes down to, the factory farming and what we're doing to the animals. Like it's really fucked up.
Also, I just realized something. If you like point out his name, David Avocado Wolf, it's like an avocado and a wolf. So it's like he's plant-based and a carnivore.
Okay, avocado is on quotes.
He
because
wolfs
he likes
down the
avocados a
avocados.
lot. I like avocados too. It's like a nickname essentially. That's all it
But
is.
I'm just pointing out the fact that he like calls himself Avocado, but then his last name is Wolf, so he's like almost showing that he's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like
He's
he
a wolf in
comes
avocado
out,
clothing.
Don't read into it too deep like that, man.
He comes out, he eats a plant-based diet, and then he turns carnivore.
He's a wolf in vegan's clothing.
He's in a big avocado mascot outfit.
There's also like Ken Berry, who's a carnivore, but his name's Barry. And what was the other one? Fuck.
Paul Saladino,
Yeah, there we go. That.
Sean
But yeah,
Baker.
the main argument you're just going off into whatever.
talking
is factory
about
farming and animal agriculture.
Yeah, you can eat meat without factory farming. That's just ridiculous. Debunked.
But
Next point.
the argument comes down to life, like the animal's life, how they feel pain, like treat others how you want to be treated.
Yeah,
And you
animals
don't-
have. You can raise animals that have a great life. They're very happy, and then they die to feed all of the people that took care of them. Yeah, you lose the debate. Thanks for playing.
No, 'cause you don't need meat to live.
That's
The
a
whole
weird
thing's
aspect.
unnecessary.
All right.
My rebuttal is that don't need meat to live. That whole thing is unnecessary in the first place.
What if eating
And-
raw meat has the highest success rate with healing cancer and every disease? What if that were the case?
Oh, that's what you sent me.
Studies and
right?
scientific
Okay.
data.
Yep. Yeah, we're talking about thousands of experiments
We'll present
with people.
one.
There's many, but I can just name Ogenus as one. How about that?
Or just post a link.
Name
or something.
two.
What's her name?
Peterson.
No. I
What do you
can't
think?
believe I can't remember her name right now.
Yeah, is there anyone else other than Ogenus? Like Ogenus is, I don't know, is not kind of active anymore. If you get my drift.
He did die.
He faked his death. He's chilling in Thailand.
Really?
Probably.
I just want to address
I don't know. It kind of seemed like I think the other people on his farm or whatever killed him so that she could take over it. But I don't know.
I just
Interesting
want to
theory.
address this argument where like you treat the animal nice, therefore you're allowed to kill it. Like, are you saying like, say if you treat your dog right, give your dog a happy life, therefore gives you the right to kill it?
Well, you don't just kill it for
Okay.
no reason. That's retarded.
So now we come to the reason. As long as it feeds people, that's
Yeah,
good.
it's about like the energy system. You know, this is why
I mean,
every
that really
single
seems to be the
spiritually.
majority of the
Go ahead.
world, right? So things just seem to be eating things. So why wouldn't we also just eat things, right? Living things.
But that comes to the argument where we don't have to do this to the animal. We don't need meat to live. It's
Well, what
Seems
about
like we
plants'
do.
feelings?
Yeah, Blob said before that plants scream. We just can't hear it. It's not inside of our sort of sensor.
They literally remember plant murderers. They did a test where they had dudes walk into a room with like 10 plants there. One guy ripped up all the plants except one. They had like 8 people walk through the room. Then they brought all the people next to the plant again, and the plant literally reacted to the dude that ripped up all the other plants in a negative way. They remember people who murder plants. They don't like when you cut cabbage next to a plant. They don't like it. They don't like you damaging them. They're sentient.
Yeah, but-
They're hyper intelligent, just like all other life. And you act like it's okay to eat plants, but it's not okay to eat a cow, even though it creates the greatest health in the world. But that doesn't matter. We don't matter. The plant matters. You're a troll.
Plants
aren't cute and cuddly though. So
They totally
debunk
are. What do you mean?
Can I have
Wait,
my
cows
rebuttal?
are not cute and cuddly either. A cow will fucking run you over.
it depends. I've met some.
No, it
cute and cuddly
doesn't.
cows.
There's a
Where,
few
at a
things on
zoo?
my rebuttal to that argument. Yeah.
Hats
Yeah,
are cute.
First, plants and
No.
animals don't have the same biology. You can't point to a plant and show me heart disease or kidney failure. Second thing is,
I don't
if
know
you're
why that's
that
relevant.
concerned, they don't have the same biology. So they
By the
don't
way,
have
it
the
seems
same
like
nervous
my.
system. They don't feel
Sorry.
pain in the same way. Plants are more
You don't know
chemical
that.
reaction. Okay. Either way, my second point to that is if you that worried about plants, animal agriculture, they grow more plants to feed the animals than just to grow plants to feed humans directly. So if you're that worried about plants, yeah, they grow shitload of plants to feed the animals.
And they wouldn't do the same for people? Do you even hear
Yeah,
what you're saying?
Yeah, they grow plants for people, but they'll grow less
Okay,
plants for
Blob.
just people.
Stop gaslighting him, Blob. Okay.
All right, my bad.
You're a
sounds like-
gaslighter.
It's
Okay.
getting This is getting
I'm onto you.
crazy.
Elegant Treasy,
I'm
that
onto you.
sounds
Yeah.
like an emotional argument. Like you're emotionally attached to the animals, therefore you don't want to hurt them. It's just
No, in
pure
fact,
emotion over rationalism.
Well, do you know the
Yeah,
statistics
but
on growing plants for animals? What's the
yeah, but
statistics?
Globus, you
Yeah.
don't want to hurt them either, do you? Like you wouldn't if you didn't feel like you had to, right? You're not a like a
Well,
madman, are you? You don't just go around killing animals for the joy of it.
yeah, I don't hurt them for no reason. If
Sure,
I had to, I'd hurt them to consume them. Yeah, I mean
sure,
that's
but appealing
part of the process.
to his feelings about the animal, I could say that you have feelings as well, right? About animals. So, you know, I know you've
Well, it
ended up on
seems like
rationalization.
well,
Go
it
ahead.
seems like his whole argument for not eating animals is purely emotional attachment, whereas I don't have that emotional attachment to
Sure.
feeding myself. I
You
have
might have an
emotional
emotion.
attachments to other things, of course, but
Yeah, so
like for
you might
example,
say that it's. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, sorry, no, you go.
Well, I'm
I was
just
just
thinking
rebutting
like
his argument that
Electra is a
plants
yeah.
feel
Your
pain.
time, bro.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just rebutting his argument. Plants feel pain. He's so worried about the plants, but animal agriculture grows more plants to feed the 80 billion animals. You know, if you just grow plants for 8 billion humans, that's less harm than 80 billion animals.
I would say that he's not really sort of saying that he cares for plants. It's just more like if you think that plants have feelings, then it's mutually held between, like, no matter what you're eating, something's getting torn apart and has feelings essentially. So we've both got the same problem. You know,
No,
I would say that.
no, I'd say plants and animals are not the same. It's just like the ridiculous argument. That's my opinion on that.
Have you watched the
Like
Plant World thing? What was the show called? Blob?
Like
The Secret
World of
Life
Plants?
of Plants.
Yeah.
Like you're comparing a carrot to a pig. Like it's just so preposterous. It's
No,
so
you
stupid.
you think like plants don't have intelligence and they don't matter when they do.
They're
You're
not the same as
gaslighting.
an animal.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, that
it's
sounds
just,
like
it's
what
just
he's
an
saying.
argument I don't really want to, because it's just that. I don't want to say
Yeah.
stupid, but like it is.
So, what do you think about the fact that the greatest warriors in history, like the Mongols or the East Aryans, who were like the only people to defeat the Mongols, they ate a diet of raw animal foods, and because of this, were able to dominate the nearby tribes that subsisted off grains. And the elites
Irrelevant.
obviously want you weak and sick and easy to control. Meanwhile, they're eating meat, and you think you're like strong and healthy eating plants.
Irrelevant in this day and age.
Oh, it's
I
irrelevant.
would say also, Blob, in response to that, like, I mean, if what is it? The ideal is that you're presenting there as an offensive civilization that's thrived on the back of eating meat, right? Like, is the fact that they're how to say, like, militant?
Mhm.
I don't think it's a very good argument. I think it's
Why?
sort of like,
Because they took things over?
yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
hold
I
on.
like is it that. Go ahead.
Well, that's the point.
How is it militant? What? I'm confused.
Well, he said that they these particular civilizations that ran on the back of horses, basically, right? Like they rode the horse, they ate the horse, and then they rode another horse, and the cycle continued. And it made for a very sort of the nutrition made for a very sort of capable civilization of warriors. But I mean, it is prioritizing like the whole
Well,
offensive warrior sort of aspect.
it
Well,
made them.
so
Go ahead.
you go ahead.
Well, it made them very physically strong, but it also made them hyper intelligent, and it made them spiritually advanced. This is why the. Well, anyway, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so you're talking about Rick. So you're saying that the fact that they ate their natural diet, they were more inclined to be warlike. But if you look at pretty much every other thing that eats animals for a living, they could also be like portrayed or not portrayed. I guess what's the word I'm looking for? seen as, I guess, being warlike, right? So monkeys, well, they eat a lot of meat. So, and they also, right, they gather in tribes and hunt down other things. I mean, lions, wolves. It seems like the predators, especially when they're predators that work together, right? They seem to appear warlike. So it seems like our natural state would be to be warlike. That could be why the elites want us to continue to eat bread and potatoes and rice and all this stuff to keep us weakened, so that we are unfit to fight against our natural, I guess you would say, predator or enemy. Because that's the other thing. These predators like lions and wolves and monkeys, they have competition. They're not just alone out there ruling wherever they're at. There's other predators attempting to kill them as well.
Yep.
So we have the same
Also,
thing. It's just that
What
we've been convinced that we don't.
an
what's your
example
point?
of this
Point with all
would be
this?
I'll sum it up for you. In Germany, Germany ate the most raw animal foods out of any other European country. They ate the most raw meat, the most raw cheeses. And we all know what happened with Germany.
Oh my
So
god.
that's what they
Are you
don't want.
serious? That's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
argument?
It's
Jesus.
literally that simple. It creates the greatest
Wow.
warriors, healthiest bodies, most intelligent people who end up taking over shit, and they don't want you to take over anything.
But
It's
I could
quite
just point to
simple.
a vegan PhD or something, or a vegan bodybuilder, or a vegan like marathon runner.
Yeah,
Like,
that doesn't mean anything.
Hitler was
I can say
vegan.
the same thing to you. No,
He
that's
was.
just propaganda.
Hitler was
It
a
wasn't.
trans shill.
Why would you equate bodybuilding with health? That's strange. Or a
Well, we're saying
marathon runner.
warrior. We're saying warriors and stuff.
Well, like
It's just
vegan
this.
gains,
Yeah.
he passes out when he lifts weight.
Oh my
And look,
god.
just to can I respond to not see? I don't know what's his name again.
What electricity?
Ariel.
We.
No, Ariel.
Aryan.
What was it? Ariel. Sorry. I only brought that up is because what was it in response to what Blob said in the he highlighted the fact that was it the eating of meat seems to correlate with great warrior tribes. I don't know if that's necessarily the goal, like to become a great warrior tribe. Although I would agree with you that whatever this world is, I mean, you'd be silly to not look after yourself like physically, right? So I'm kind of on board with that. So the notion of, and I eat meat, bro.
Well, the
I just wanted to
misunderstanding
clear
was
that up anyway.
they were all warring tribes. They all wanted to do the same shit. That's what it all was. And the people who just ate raw foods were the best at it.
No, see, this is the trick also, right? Maybe they didn't want to be warring tribes. It's just that as soon as one tribe becomes warlike, it's going to take over the next one. And then the third one's going to be looking at what happened and said, well, we've got to start arming ourselves. And so as a consequence, they start building, it's a runaway effect.
So
Because
who's more
one is
warlike?
offensive, the other one becomes defensive. And it's sort of the one that chooses not to invade, it's always just going to be at a loss for that particular ideology or whatever causes people to go to war.
You think people who are eating like raw animal foods, taking care of animals all day, and they're like just extremely happy, you think they're just gonna like go to war for no reason?
Well, it was based on your presentation of why eating meat is good for you, is because just based on the fact that these warlike nations.
No. I wasn't saying it made them warlike. I was saying when it came to war, they were the best because of that. Which, yeah, they're going to try to fuck with you. So better eat your raw meat.
You're a warrior or something? Are you cruising around with spears and
I'm a god of war.
Argument.
Now, yeah, see, this is the thing, right? So people don't actually understand what they are. Human beings are actually a weapon. You yourself, your body is a weapon.
Jet Li, Bruce Lee, that one. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but it's not a weapon for the thing that you think.
Well,
what do you mean? Go for it, bro.
all I can say, risky, yeah, just give it a go. Just just try not to eat meat for a bit and see how you go.
Yeah,
I
or
have given
don't.
it a go, bro. The only thing I would say is that I probably didn't do it right. Ate a lot of grains and all that shit. So I don't know. I'd be like, dude, blob. I'd be willing to try anything, just like see how it goes, right? It
Yeah, I
ain't gonna
tried
kill me.
veganism too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
think
trash.
I think it's like once you understand the animal aspect and the value of the life of the animal, like then it
Well,
becomes
so
easier.
Electric Rizzy, the way I would argue back against you, right, is that you've been born into a world that this life consuming. I think Ariel mentioned this before, just in passing, but yeah, this just seems to be the nature of it. I don't like
Yeah,
it, but
that's an appeal to nature fallacy. You're
well, I mean,
appealing
I
to
do appeal
nature.
to nature, though. I mean, it's
No,
not a.
but
Is it a
that's
fallacy?
like
Maybe it is. I'm
yeah,
happy with that,
Nature is
bro.
reality.
because that's me coming up to you like sniffing your ass and going, "Hey, the animals do it." You see, we can't get our morals from the animals.
No. Yeah, I agree with that. But the problem is that it's you're making it. What is it? It's not
Nah,
exclusionary. How am I trying to
no,
arrange this right now?
you're
Like I'm
cherry.
looking at nature and saying this is not a bad thing. You're
Yeah,
looking
you're
at
cherry
nature and saying it
picking.
is a bad thing. No.
You're,
I'm saying
you're
it's not a
cherry
bad
picking.
thing. It seems to be that the way that the world works. You're saying it is a bad thing because pain and suffering, right? I get that, but pain and suffering
Yeah,
seems to be all over the place. It's just a natural aspect of the world, and to say that it is wrong because we engage in the activity when we look at nature, and it also seems to be engaging in the activity. Um, I don't know, like it's
yes,
just
because we're a
Well,
little bit
like,
different from the animals. We don't.
I mean, I guess like my take on it is that like, yeah, surely we could look at things in nature and derive an understanding of like things that animals do, but I think we'd run into problems if we just like base everything we do on what we think other animals are doing, because these other animals, they're not basing what they do by looking at other animals to figure out what their nature is. And I feel like the nature of humans is clearly one of a rational nature. And because it's a rational nature, we're capable of things like objective thought and,
Exactly.
you know,
Logic and
smarter,
reason.
yeah, logic and reason. And
okay, but you've
therefore,
reasoned and
we
logicked that
are,
it's a bad. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
not that it's a bad thing, but
Yeah,
basically that we can separate ourselves in terms of like what, like we can do things out of like principle and good conduct and philosophy and things that are, I don't know, I guess like bring us to a higher, um what would be the word for that, that aim to the more spiritual, I guess, or the filler word.
Yeah, but that's all junk.
What's
But
junk?
why? I mean, why is
What,
sacrificing the
trying to be
cow for your
good?
family? Like, why is that bad?
Or what did you say, Rick?
Why is sacrificing the cow's life, at that particular time to feed your family? Why is that inherently a bad thing?
Well,
well, what if there was another option? You have to eat the cow. You can eat other things.
well,
Well,
think
then the
about
cow
like,
wouldn't exist, right? So the cow is it's kind of like, this is really kind of, I don't know, it's a bit brutal to think about this, but
So,
we all get used in that way by nature. The
are you
society we
saying
live in is using us, it's breeding us. The suburbia is basically like cattle lands for growing humans, just like you saw in the Matrix, right? I think you just look around, man. This is
well,
iterated throughout aspects of the world everywhere. I'm just looking for the healthiest outcome, right?
well, here's the thing. See, I would say that, like, yeah, observing those things, recognizing that it is like an option, it is something that things could do. That's one thing, but it's another thing, I guess, to like base your entire framework around it. Like, obviously, we don't live in a situation where we, well, like, if you think about the way an animal works, like, an animal is limited to its cognitive abilities and functions, so it can only carry out things in accordance to its nature. We kind of have the ability to choose, so we're not really limited to following in the footsteps of a lesser being just because it has like a different a different protocol. of how it carries out its life. Like, for example, you can go in a tree and eat bugs all day because, birds do it, like, or not birds, but like birds or monkeys or something like that, or some kind of lizard. But we don't necessarily do that.
I'm not saying we should do it because we look at nature, right? I'm saying that nature does do it, so it means that it's not immoral inherently.
Yeah. And see, I would say that.
Therefore, it's moral. That's your argument. Like it's sad.
Well, no. See, I would say that, yeah, to some degree you're right, but I'm just like separating the obligation. It's just like, yeah, it is a thing that happens in nature. That doesn't mean like. So I guess what I would say is it doesn't mean that you're limited to it, but it also doesn't mean that it's beyond you. And I would argue that you're not necessarily evil for doing it. Obviously, things can be like that could be done with the intention of like surviving. Like, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. Essentially, like nothing is ever going to live perfectly, and trying to have this sort of perfect perception where you can like avoid all harm. I feel like that is, in my opinion, a biblical view of reality and a bit of a self-righteous view of reality. And I don't think that that is truly attainable. However, that doesn't mean that one has to like flip into the opposite direction and go full like indulgence and